used to be the lost boy running insane. I used to be the ghost boy looking for fame. I used to work so hard to get it, so hard to get it. I used to be the one living in the fast lane. I used to be the one who only cried in the rain. I used to work so hard to get it, and so hard to get it. And so hard to get it. I used to be the lost boy running insane. I used to be the ghost boy looking for fame. I used to work so hard to get it, so hard to get it. I used to be the one living in the fast lane. I used to be the one who only cried in the rain. I used to work so hard to get it, and so hard to get it. I used to be the lost boy running insane. Used to be the ghost boy looking for fame. I used to work so hard to get it. I used to be the one living in the fast lane. Used to be the one who only cried in the rain. I used to work so hard to get it. It's so hard to get it. It's so hard to get it. I used to be the lost boy running insane. I used to be the ghost boy looking for fame. I used to work so hard to get it, so hard to get it. I used to be the one living in the fast lane. I used to be the one who only cried in the rain. I used to work so.
What up? What up? What up? What up, everybody? How's it going? Hey, 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 hey. Professor Palm plays. What up? No channel point option to unlock emo. I'm sorry. Dude, I don't know what's going on. Oh, that's because I want you to sub to get my emotes. That's why. You can write all you want. Big man on campus. What up? Welcome back. Eastern Michigan in the house. Aquinas Esports with the Pog chat. We got Riley who's on the. Maybe it's Riley. Maybe it's Powder. Maybe it's Prof. All up on the Aquinas Esports Twitter username. What's up, dude? I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well too. How are things over at Eastern Michigan? Let me know. Let me know. Where are my channel points options to unlock a random sub emote? That's what I said. You gotta sub to get my emotes. I think I only have one emote. So if you use it, you're getting the one emote for free, and I don't want that. Yeah, I only have one emote. Welcome back from the trip. Thank you. Long-time reader, first-time watcher. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you got to join us. Why are you gatekeeping emotes? I only have one emote. I don't have enough subs to have more. Why would I give you the option to unlock the only emote I have? All right. What is the current location of the cheese? I don't know who the cheese is, but I'm currently in Lakeland, Florida. Yeah, it only unlocks it for the current stream. Well, shoot, you could probably get enough points to unlock it for every weekly stream I have, right? Let's see. Let me look at this. Let me take a look here. Where can I add this? I'll allow it. How many channel points should it be
Well,
to
Straight Talk
unlock?
Wireless. If you guys any
Oops. How many points should it be to unlock the sub emote I have? That is true. Channel points. Customize display. Manage rewards. Unlock a random sub emote. 750. I'll allow 750. There's this like... Okay. Unlock a random sub emote. Okay, it has been added. I don't know. Choose an emote to unlock. No, we'll just unlock a random one. There's only one. Gifted a sub to Straight Razor. Thank you so much, CP Graham. I appreciate that. Hype. Dude, now you got it, man. You got the emote. Logan is in the chat. Hope you're doing well, Adam. Sub 40 degrees here. Ooh, I am not missing that at all, Logan. It is 75 degrees. I got my windows open right now. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Redeemed a random question. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to catch up here. Wow, now I'm getting the spam. Wow, I feel so special. I would love to hop on a call with you, Logan, at some point and get your perspective from an administrator's standpoint on how your WAC tournament went. It looked really awesome. Let's also get a picture tonight. Okay. Absolutely. Alum Will Fisac is Fisackerly from Florida Southern's in town. I got to meet him for lunch. Production was hell. Dude, it was your guys' first time, and you guys had 2 streams going. I thought it was good. I jumped in. Coach Long checking in. What up, Coach Long? Riley in the house. I thought it looked really good. It looked really fun. I was in Texas, and while I was getting ready for the night, I was watching you guys play. I'm assuming I watched up until I think losers finals. Yeah, I don't know how I convinced all the members of the WAC to let Aquinas host the first 2 playoffs, but I did. So I think you guys get to host the spring ones too. But when Riley started talking about the gym, I was like, whoa, that's like next level. Next level. It's all my fault. I know. I think it came down to just, there was only like 2 or 3 WAC members that felt comfortable hosting, and we just like went with alphabetical order. Although we should have done like Aquinas doing one and then like the middle of the alphabet starting next spring. But whatever. I ain't complaining. I ran production and casted. It looked and felt amazing. It did. It looked amazing. Palm went sicko mode. That's awesome. It looked so cool. It looked so cool. I'm glad you guys had it. I'm sure the players loved it. I'm sure it was really cool. Or I'm sure it was just, it looked cool. It looked cool. I don't know what else to say. It looked cool. I was jealous. I couldn't be there. But I was at the Esports Awards. So that's fun. That's my first topic for today is the Esports Awards. Not sure if you guys got a chance to watch it or anything, but it was a lot of fun. I really liked it. Got to meet and catch up with some really cool people. Esports Awards, Adam was robbed. No, I wasn't robbed, man. They were like being real. Like Doc deserves that 100%. Chris Turner deserves that way more than I do. He's running a high school team and a college team, and working through issues that I've never had to deal with when it comes to just like I believe he's at his HBCU, historically black college and university. Like he's dealing with stuff that like I have not had to deal with. So, and Ryan starting X Community, although I don't even know how you pronounce it. If it's X Community, Community X. But he's doing a lot of work with the HBCUs. I mean, there's just some amazing people. You yelled at the TV. I'm glad you yelled at the TV. I was so anxious going up to that moment because I had like prepared some notes, but like I would not have delivered a speech half as good as Haskell. And Doc will never admit that he deserves that, but he really does. He's been doing some really cool stuff, and most of us in the space have had so many questions answered from Doc. And he's always willing to hop on a call. Like, he sent me videos, like step by step of how his space is set up, what hardware they have in their production studio. Like, he is always an open book. And when I was doing interviews with like the University of Arizona and Florida Southern, he helped do some mock stuff, like mock interviews, and asked me like really hard questions and gave me some advice. Like, Doc is awesome. If you haven't had a chance to meet Doc, you gotta. He's like one of those guys that you just gotta know. You gotta meet. But overall, I thought it was so cool because I had watched the Esports Awards before. And actually, I don't know if anyone knows this. I might have told some people, but before COVID, I had a goal of trying to be a finalist in the Esports Awards, and it was before they ever had a collegiate category. I actually wanted to be an Esports Photographer of the Year finalist. And I had gotten a message from Esports Awards the year before COVID shut things down during the like nomination process that said, you have a significant amount of nominations. Please submit like a portfolio for our panel to review as they choose the finalists. So I had gone through that process before, and I didn't make it as a finalist that time. So when I got the message about this collegiate thing, I was like, oh, okay, this is just the same thing. Yeah, sure, some people nominated me, but there's no way I become a finalist. And I remember when they announced the Collegiate Awards, I read it. I was like, this is not me. I'm not an ambassador of Collegiate Esports. Like, there's no way. But when they announced my name, I was totally thrown off as a finalist. And then I got to go to the awards, which was so cool. Got to see a lot of people. I'm not the guy to fanboy over people. I didn't go ask for autographs. I didn't go ask for pictures. I talked with a couple of the people that I've connected with through my photography. Like Marky B he's a Call of Duty coach. He was nominated for Coach of the Year. He actually came up to me because I didn't think he would have remembered who I was. I worked with him twice, like 2 weekends in the Call of Duty League. And he came up and he congratulated me, and it was said he was rooting for me and voted for me multiple times. And that was really cool. That meant a lot to me, coming from a guy that just like everyone in the Call of Duty scene knows. Another guy, who else did I talk to? Some of my photography friends were working that weekend. That was really cool. Talked to Walshy, who won Lifetime Achievement Award. I just said congrats in passing. We were walking out of the bathroom at the same time. Gosh, there was one other person that I talked to. I talked to all the collegiate people, which was really cool. I'd never met them. Real question I had: did you see Nade shot smacked? He had way too many Trulies. I did not, but it was funny because we made fun of. They went to that interview and they're like Trulies, and they had all this like all the sponsored drinks were like they had buckets of them at their table, and we had like two bottles of wine. Like, you could definitely tell that like there's two tiers of celebrities and how they're treated with the Esports Awards, and like Nade Shot and like all the pro streamers, like they got the big bedspread with all the fancy stuff, the headsets, that like at their tables they had the buckets of Trulies and Twisted Tea. And then you got us who like we had to pay our, like I got one free ticket to dinner, but I had to pay for my hotel, my plane ticket. I didn't get the bedspread. But it was still such a cool experience. Like, I can't even complain about it. 'Cause it was so awesome. Who else did I talk to? Oh, I talked to Jacob Wolf, who's a journalist for esports. I had met him once before. Catching up with him was cool. Spaceman is a host. Veli is a host. Both are like kind of on the cusp of becoming a top tier host. And I know Spaceman really well. I've taken his photos a couple times. Veli was with Spaceman, and we got to connect and meet, and that was cool. I sat at the same table as Champion, the apparel brand, who like, Marky B is an absolute OG back from my competing days. Yeah, Marky B is awesome. But he came up to me. It was really cool. I sat at the same table as Champion, the apparel brand, and they talked about FaZe Clan, and like, they're actually sending me some free stuff. They were so awesome. The two biz dev esports people from Champion. I'll show you guys the Champion gear when it comes in. I'm really excited about it. Unfortunately, like Florida Southern's logo is like licensed, so I couldn't have them use that logo. But they're gonna send me some generic Champion stuff that I'm really excited about. I remember him on those infused teams during the BO3 scene. Yeah, Marky. Yeah, it's really fascinating because Call of Duty is not my scene, and I never watched Call of Duty, but because the league was in Columbus, Ohio, and I was in Grand Rapids, I was like one of the closest photographers for esports at that time. So most of my connections and work, especially in the beginning of my photography stuff, was with Call of Duty. So like most of the people, like the famous people that I have connections with or know, are in the Call of Duty scene. And I did not, to me, they're just the people I've worked with. They're not like famous people to a lot of other people. Being at the Call of Duty major in Vegas in 2019, I was at Topgolf with some of the big casters, and United and Clerky was on the hole next to me at the time. They invited me out to Topgolf, and I was playing Topgolf with Shady, who's the community manager for Astro, and I think Momo may have been there. Some of the casters, and to me it was there's just those drunk guys I played Topgolf with, but everyone else it's oh my gosh, he's the greatest ever. But that goes for any caster I've met too, James Bott and Moses. To me, I don't know them as these famous people. I know them as chill dudes I've had dinner with or whatever. And I think they appreciate that too. They don't, any celebrity doesn't want to just be fanboyed over, but I don't know. They're cool people. Everyone's super approachable in esports, which is awesome. Personally, champion sweatshirts last me 4 weeks of warmth and then not it. Adidas all day. Well, you're at the right school. Florida Southern is just about to announce that they're leaving Adidas because they've had so many bad problems with logistics and getting a hold of product in general. And I know that was a problem at Aquinas, but it got so bad here that they're kind of done with it. So didn't renew the contract supposedly. Yeah, leaked. I'm not gonna leak who they're going with, but there's only a couple options. I didn't sign an NDA. I don't know. I have the entire rainbow color of Champion hoodies. I got 10 to 15 of them. That's cool. I don't have much Champion gear. I'm excited to get some. It should be fun. Do you guys have any questions about the Esports Awards? I did. So I'll show you a couple things. So all the finalists get this commemorative coin. I don't know if I press this. No, that's not going to work. Okay. So this finalist coin, and then the other side it says Esports Awards. And then we get this fancy case to it. So that's that. I was at the Esports Awards. I think most of the VIPs got one of these. These were on the tables at the after party, and I snagged one. So don't tell anyone. So these actually it's a Scuff gaming controller for an Xbox, and it's got Esports Awards on it, and it's custom to it. And then I grabbed the holder for it too. Yeah, I will never use it. I'm not a controller guy, but it's gonna sit right next to it's got the Scuff thing because it's Scuff. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's got the extra buttons on the back. But yeah, it's got the year on it. It's got 2021, the Esports Awards logo. If Esports Awards is watching, I'm sorry. Like, if I need to pay for it or whatever, just let me know. I don't want to get in trouble, but I also like saw it and I was like, there's no way this is going to last the night, and I want it. So, and then I tried to find some after that for the two Boise coaches that were there in addition to Doc, and they were all gone. Somebody grabbed them. So if anyone ever asked me about feedback from my Esports Awards experience, I would say that like what I'd really like is somehow get Collegiate to get that like bedspread of free stuff that all the VIPs get. Also, I think like the programs of the year, they like got like they would, for them to attend, I think they might have had to pay for a full table. Or something. I don't know. I got one free ticket and then I had to pay for my wife. Which was fine. Like I was totally fine paying that. But if the programs of the year award, I think they should be able to get at least one free ticket for their coach to go. It was just a cool event because like some of the biggest names in esports were there. And you just like see Golden Boy and Shocks hosting up there and Dash, and you're like, these are like the people I watch on the weekends, like on the big stage, and it was just so awesome. And they're all within reach. Like you could go up and talk to them. I know the coaches from Boise, Alex is the assistant director, and then Fish is like their main caster. They got pictures with Dash or talked to Dash and Golden Boy, and it was just really awesome. The amount of money I've donated to Scuff. The one Scuff controller I had broken about 6 weeks, never bought one again. Hey man, I don't, like I said, I'm not going to ever use it, but it's up there. Oh, there's also, so we also got some party favors at the event. We got some like we got chocolate bars from some sponsors. But they also did like Panini is like a card trading company. And they made cards of like past winners. I think my favorite one, and they're all random. So there's a couple like I have Twitch and stuff, but my favorite is this one. I got Booga. I got the Booga card. Unfortunately, Booga wasn't there. So I couldn't get a signature, and I don't have like Bwippo. I have Bwippo, who's a League of Legends player, but he wasn't there. I don't think he was up for an award. I have like Fortnite. I think this guy's famous. I don't know what his name is. Abai Lanos. He's probably got a better name. I have two Bwippos. I got a Zuxi. I don't know. Booga was the biggest. Yeah. Got like, and then some companies. Somebody at our table, one of the champion guys had the Golden Boy card and went up and got a picture with the card and Golden Boy. He was looking for a marker to get it signed. I don't think he got a marker though. Abai is huge. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a filthy scrub. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, that was Esports Awards. Esports Awards was awesome. You guys got any other questions about Esports Awards? It was a fun weekend. I got in Friday morning. There's like a Friday night event where they honored the Lifetime Achievement winners, Walshy, Adam Apicella from MLG, a couple others. And then Saturday night was, hey, Dizay, thank you so much, Coach Long, for the sub. I really appreciate it. That's amazing. Yeah, Booga was playing. Yes, he was, because they did like a remote like video in from Booga that said like he was busy playing, which sucks because I would have loved to get an autograph of that card. That was pretty cool. That guy just throwing money. What a flake of wrath. Yeah. So Saturday night was the main event. They did like a big red carpet. Let's see if I can pull up some of my photos, but I mainly just have photos of me. Let's see if I can do this. Bow, bow, now. Yeah, let's do this. So transition. There we go. All right, so I just have like 4 photos in here. So this is at table 43. What up? Best table out there. Me and my wife on the red carpet. We had to go through like this red carpet that they had, which was kind of cool, but also like super awkward because everyone's waiting for like the big names like Shocks, Nade Shot, whatever, walking by, and then it's like, who is this dude? Those are all the only professional photography or photos I had. I took some photos of like the actual venue and stuff, but yeah, it was fun. It was cool. If Collegiate did do such a show, what underrated categories do you think should be a part? Ooh. You seem hangry at 43, or you got bad fish. I don't know why I wasn't. Maybe I just have a resting bitch face. I don't know. It was a blast. If Collegiate did such a show, what underrated categories do you think should be a part? I think Collegiate could do a show. I think Nace does awards. We're working on making it better in terms of how they're picked, but you could make a fancy show with that. But underrated, I guess, like social media team of the year, like production team of the year, caster of the year. I mean, you could do a team of the year for each game if you wanted, or just like overall team of the year, organization of the year, director of the year. You could put together quite a lineup. You could do like collegiate tournament organizer of the year or league organizer of the year. And then you could do like a support, or like for somebody who's doing a lot that's not in collegiate but like helping out. Like Pokimane just announced that $100,000 scholarship. There could be an award where you give to Pokimane that's like supporter of collegiate esports award or something. Champion of culture award, that would be cool. It would be really cool to have a collegiate esports show. I think we could have one at some point. I don't know if we're there yet, but I think at one point. Oh, thank you, Flake of Wraith. Thank you so much for the subscription. That $100,000 scholarship is something I'm going to try my hardest for. You should. I think they're doing $10,000 scholarships. I think you should. I haven't actually looked at the requirements for it, but I'm assuming you'd be qualified. That would be my assumption. Thank you. Lug Nuts, you made it. What's up? Welcome to the chat. It's so good to have you. Congratulations to you again for being a finalist. Your program, Minnesota State, Mankato. I try. But that was, I think it was so cool that, I think it was funny. I think Hype Train, what the heck is this? I need an official prediction for the Michigan versus Ohio State game. First time viewer, what up, Mankato? There you go. All right, Mankato. I need an official prediction. I'm going to have to go Ohio State's going to win it. I'm sorry. I wish this would be the year. Dude, Ohio State put the beating on Michigan State this past weekend. All right. And we all know how that game went. Yeah, I'm kind of with BC Dub, with this one. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Thank you for the cheers. The biddies. Thank you so much, Prof. Palm. I'm on a hype train. Guys, I think this is the 3rd week in a row we've hit a hype train. And I had never had a hype train before this. So thank you. I really appreciate it. This year is different. Copium. Different. Did you watch us lose to Michigan State? Listen, I dropped $140 for a scam train to go. Time to enjoy my 4 minutes of bliss. Yeah, yeah. Dude, your bliss is that bits leader #1. Look at that. Take that. Take that little icon next to your name. U of M is going to get smacked like we did. I don't know. I hope not. I hope it's not a smacking. Take the over is my advice. Michigan isn't that great, but I wish they were. Yeah, I agree. I appreciate everyone who's throwing subs my way. This is awesome. I think I'm supposed to get my first check ever. Like my first payout check soon. And I'm going to give it to I'm going to do something with it. Like give it to a nonprofit or something. I'm trying to find one that's like in Collegiate that I actually like. But I appreciate everyone who's done that. It's really awesome. Any other questions on Esports Awards? Because then we'll move to Nace. It sounds like we might have the choir of Nace in here, so we might not have too spicy of a conversation about Nace, but I wanted to give some people the platform to talk and complain and ask questions. Create a scholarship for your program with $100. Dude, I could donate it to my program, but that's not as fun. I don't want you guys like your money to go to a program that is supported enough. Is that Haskell guy as tough as he acts? No, he's not. He is super nice. The $100 Antor scholarship. Yep. The Antor Creator Scholarship. Ooh, it could be a scholarship for a creator. I don't think $100 is doing much, but maybe. OSU MSU game just shows the difference between the top three and like everyone else. That's true. True. Haskell is not as tough as he acts. You know Haskell. You talk to Haskell. You got a long conversation, a lot of podcast episode with the Haskell. Pays for almost 2 games. There you go. Adamant Gamer. What? Adamant Gamer. Is that my ad on here still? Oh no, it's not. Where is Adamant Gamer coming from? Where do I have that? I probably have that still below or something weird. Truth, yeah. Dude, Haskell is awesome. Haskell is so awesome. Streamlabs bot. Oh, yeah, I gotta change that. At some point. My bad. Guys, is that a moderator? Does a moderator do that? Does a moderator help out with like idiot creators who can't remember to change things like that? I feel like I can't afford a moderator or I can't afford mods, but if that's part of the mods job, maybe I should. Streamlabs, ew. Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't changed over to just normal OBS yet. I gotta do that. But what about these overlays? Am I right? Andrew Lemon Vinavich doing my overlays. Another shout out to him. He gets so much marketing. Give the mods the 100. Oh, I don't have mods, or else I would. He is a goat. Lemon is the goat. I missed the train. Oh no, we missed the hype train. Better luck next time. Thanks, Twitch. I'm sorry. I failed you, Jeffrey Almighty Bezos. I have failed you. I'm so sorry. Scam train is gone. He's going to be helping me with social media. He should. He's got some talent. All right, let's talk Nace. Who's got questions about Nace? I am, as most of you know, I'm the chair of the competition council. So I am involved in a lot of the conversations and decisions around competition. If an admin makes a decision that a coach doesn't agree with and they ask to appeal it, it usually comes to the competition council for discussion and approval. Why is Nace playoffs for league during preseason? Good question, because we didn't, as a competition council, think about that. I would not have I guess we knew when Worlds was, but I didn't realize how quickly. Like, I don't think we knew when the season ends. Nace playoffs for League were supposed to start this past weekend, but we decided to talk with all the schools to see if they would like it pushed to after this week so they could have some time to prepare. So, and they approved that. What is Nace, and is there Fortnite there soon? There's Fortnite. Registration's up right now, Palm. Go register. Are there Halo plans? Halo is a title that we will be adding to our post-season survey this December to see how many members would potentially be interested in Halo. We'll also be asking about a couple other games as well. But we're not getting as many questions about Halo as would be necessary to just jump into it. It's like after Worlds before CLOL. Yes, exactly. So preseason is actually right now for League of Legends. So basically when playoffs started, now the teams are playing on like a completely different game because preseason makes so much difference. Can you have a LoL team in both Nace Varsity and CLOL? No. You'll have to choose one or the other with the players. So you can have your JV team in Nace and your varsity team in CLOL in the spring, but you can't have players doing both. And that's from Riot themselves. They want CLOL to be maintained as the premier league, obviously. Like, I'm not going to be mad at that. But those players can only choose one or the other. So Nace is kind of like the JV league, if you will, or an option for your second team or your team. If they don't want to do CLOL, they can do Nace. Yeah, that's an important distinction from the fall, is that players will have to choose between the two. Moving it was good because last weekend was crazy. It was crazy, but yeah, with this new mechanics and preseason, the game is kind of broken. It is. Yeah, and there's just a lot of things that happened with the schedule this year, like having playoffs right like the weekend before Thanksgiving, I don't think was a good move. League of Legends preseason, Call of Duty not being wrapped up before Vanguard comes out was a problem. We just have like things that we need to remember to change in the future. And yeah, some of those things, like most of those things, developers don't tell us dates. They don't tell us any of that. They just approve things. If they approve them, they don't communicate those things. So we're kind of like at the mercy of what they can tell us or what we can remember. Triton, welcome. Appreciate you stopping by. Speaking as the CC chair, what were discussions around the St. Clair and SEU issue that arose? This was a thing that happened this past weekend. So basically St. Clair and SEU were playing in a playoff match. They were both in a game lobby waiting for one last SEU player to get in. And St. Clair failed to check in on mainline, but they were all in-game chat in the lobby. As soon as the 15-minute mark happened, mainline, the platform, automatically forfeits any team that didn't check in. And as soon as that happened, SEU left the lobby, said, you guys will take the FF win that was I think their last message in chat, we have this somewhere, is like, that was an easy win. And then they went to go play in some other competition that was happening. What the CC has decided previously in a match with Northwood and Shawnee State was that even if they didn't check in, as long as they're in communication together at the time of game start or when the game's supposed to start, the game should be played. That the check-in rule is meant to make sure that teams are ready to play, not that it's that it's just like another step to be able to compete. So the admins followed what our recommendation was from a previous match, and the discussion from the CC is that that's exactly it, is if you guys are in communication together, even if one of you forgets to check in on mainline, the match still needs to be played. They decided to take that match and schedule it. Like, I think both Nace and St. Clair decided to allow that game to be played at like 10 o'clock. Or whenever the next thing is, like giving SEU another chance to play. And 30 minutes after the scheduled time, SEU still wasn't interested in playing the game. So Nace was then forced to FF SEU, giving the win to St. Clair. There was details on Twitter that were just left out. And it's really easy to blast Nace if you're not disclosing all the details. Yeah, I think that conversation between players is not okay, but it should be between coaches and directors. Yeah, I mean, any conversation should be between coaches and directors. It's just players reach out to other players, and sometimes they don't realize their coaches need to be in these conversations. I completely agree. It's difficult. Those conversations, it's impossible for CSL or Nace to decide, like, in any situation that involves like a player saying something but the coach not saying that or agreeing with it. It's impossible for us to decipher who has the power because of the affiliate thing in Nace. And just how some teams are ran, there are players who are pretty much the coach. They're the captain. They handle all communication, but they're also a player. So, like, how do we determine who has the power to make a decision or be the communicator? And how does another team know? That has been an issue in a couple other games, and we just have to go off of what we hear from your players, because how do we know who's supposed to be the one talking? I don't think conversations in Discord should count. It should definitely 100% be handled within the tournament platform. I disagree, personally. I think because for me personally, I'm always on Discord. So if someone messages me on Discord, I'm always going to see it. But I'm not always sitting on the tournament platform. Like, I'm checking it, I'm trying, but I know I'm one of the only people who does. And I mean, just leave beside the fact that Mainline is a terrible platform for our user case. But like in general, it's just so difficult to always be present in Mainline, but I'm always on Discord. So if someone messages me on Discord, and why is Mainline conversation, which is a lot more sporadic, more important than Discord, where we can have a better conversation? I just don't understand how we as Nace and we as coaches can decipher which communication is the real communication. I don't know. Might not see a Mainline message for 12 hours. Exactly. Like, yeah, you can message. If there was like email notifications on the platform or text notifications, if you get a message, sure, we can start talking about. I would be much more open to pushing the tournament platform as the only way to communicate, but we don't have that. That's okay if you disagree. I think certain steps should be followed and consistent during tournament game times. I agree with that. I think that could go for a lot of different things. We also have 200 members plus a ton of affiliates, and then we have challenger divisions and open divisions, and every program is at a different point. Like, we have programs that don't want any rescheduling. They want to be ran as close to a traditional athletic team as possible. But then we have the other end of the spectrum where it's a group of students who want to reschedule every match because one of their players has a class every night that week. So, and we try to kind of figure out where a good middle ground is, where we're serving our members as best as we can, but also creating the best experience as possible. DG Cash. Ooh, spicy. Nace has evolved into something that is 100% awful for the industry. I would love to hear where you're thinking there. Because if I felt it was 100% awful for the industry, I would not be putting my reputation on the line, being a member of it, let alone the chair of the competition council. Email message would have been great. Yeah, like, conversations can happen prior to game, but any official communication regarding rescheduling or checking in or, hey, we are waiting on one player should be I think that's a fair statement. That's a fair statement. And I think that's good practice for coaches and directors. So I'll agree with you there. It's important to know about the additional details potentially left out on social media. I know SU mentioned earlier precedent with... See, CSL couldn't even find... So CSL, Nace, the Competition Council, we all looked for this ODU VCU, and there's no support ticket. There's no communication regarding that match. There was never an appeal. We're very confused as to what happened there, except I think there was just an FF win awarded. We haven't seen any other communication regarding that match. All we can go off of is what we've worked on, and that was the Northwood Shawnee State, where we didn't allow someone to try to take a win because the other team failed to check in. And there was matches I failed to check in because I just forgot, but I was in communication with the other team, and we just played the match. I don't know why this was such a big ordeal, honestly, but yeah. So roster inconsistency on mainline, that is huge problem, and hopefully switching to another platform will solve that. Right now, like the roster, there's so many problems with mainline from an administrative standpoint, but also from like just a team admin standpoint. It's not even worth talking about because there's so many issues. Yeah, I'm hoping with the new platform we're heading to for the spring, that'll be solved. I have the same struggle, and I make sure everything that is rescheduled or any changes or even if waiting is on the platform. That's really bad. That is the key of having that, of really doing it, is because, so yes, that we can get screenshots, like CSL and Nace and the admins can get screenshots of Discord messages, but they have access to all the messaging on the platform, and that saves your butt more than anything. Mainline isn't an ideal platform, but Discord conversations cannot be official. People could be talking to a person who doesn't have the power to make official decisions. But that goes for mainline chat. I think players have the ability to type in mainline chat too. I could be wrong in there, but contacted to talk official game stuff. I've had to drill it in our players' minds at official game talks. Yeah, so I've messaged random players on a team, but that's because like I couldn't find the main captain on a Discord username that was connected to mainline. So I would end up messaging someone, but students are usually really good at saying, hey, this is my captain's Discord, reach out. And that's always really beneficial. But again, I could ask for coaches, but there's a lot of teams, even Varsity, that don't have coaches per se. Thanks for clarifying. I think it's good to know that maybe there's more to some conflicts than are made public. Anytime an issue has been escalated to the CC, those that are voted on have been posted publicly in the CSL and Nace Discord under sanctions. Most of the details are posted in there, but anytime the CC goes through an appeals process, we created an entire Google Doc of the facts, timeline, evidence from both sides, the stories from both sides, and then we make an official ruling. So yeah, we take appeal requests very seriously. I can say with 100% fact because I've done multiple of them this fall. And we've learned that we just have to take any appeal request seriously. We have to do everything that we can to get both sides of the story. And yeah, I don't think we necessarily share the evidence docs with the public, but we share the evidence docs. What I've been doing is sharing the evidence docs prior to our vote with both directors in both schools, asking them if they have anything else they'd like to add. And then we go through it as a competition council. First, it starts with a subcommittee of 3 members. They look over it. If they're unanimous in something, we usually don't talk about it at the CC. But if they're not unanimous or would like further discussion, then the entire CC, the 9 members that are voted on as competition council members, then talk about it and make a vote and decision. So, yeah, there's past the admins of CSL, like if there's a request to appeal, it goes pretty deep. Wish there was a common sense rule added. Obviously, if you're delaying to checkbook or to rule book the check-in, you're going against good sportsmanship or common sense. Yes, but I think for us, we want to stay as far away from subjectivity as we can, and try to be as objective as possible. But there are instances where a rule is just not written right, or it's not enforced the same. And we try our best to do that, but that's where the appeal process comes in. We do have a formal appeal process being published and written up. The board of directors is working on approving that. Are there any plans for Nace to appoint competition council heads for each game title that is responsible for communicating weekly results across all relevant leagues? So we have something called subcommittees. So we have members of the competition council serve on subcommittees for each game title, and there's 3 members on each game title. So we have that. Communicating weekly results across all relevant leagues. That is not happening. Most of the time, the subcommittees are only taking on appeals and rule-related questions that need competition council approval or additional information. As for like communicating, most of that communication is happening from the Nace central office, like JJ, who's the competition manager, or CSL and their admins. I'm not quite sure unless if this is like related to the coaches polls. I don't know. Yeah, you're talking about coaches polls, improve the voting process and validity of pools. We've talked about that, but so Emily Cox is the director of marketing, and she's doing that. That would take a lot of time. I think it'd be really cool. Maybe there is something where like a member of the subcommittee posts that. That might be good. Nace is how we ended up with this whole head esports coach, $30K per year nonsense. That could be true. I think it's a variety of things. I actually would argue that the reason most schools are offering this $30K is that's what they pay their traditional sports coaches. So like at Aquinas, I was making $38K, and that was because that's what a traditional sports coach was making at Aquinas. They didn't have input from Nace in their process, but that's not to say that some of Nace's past communication hasn't said that would be a suitable salary for a head esports coach. So I'm not going to defend it there because you could be onto something. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to argue that at some point Nace probably said this $30K thing. I think most of the board of directors has pushed them to stop doing that sort of thing, but there are a lot of schools that ask Nace questions, and what we can do is provide what the average is that we've seen. And the average is probably still 40 to 45K for most small school esports programs. Many of the larger problems in college esports stem from Nace and the structure they sell to schools. I think you're giving a lot of credit to Nace. I think a lot more credit than they deserve. Many of the larger problems in college esports. I think many of the larger problems in college esports, when we talk about salaries and lack of funding and lack of things, is stemmed from the reason schools are starting esports. Like small schools who start esports, which are most of them, are doing it because it's a cheap way to get 30 new students, like hands down. If a small school saw that they had to pay somebody $100K and then full-time game coaches underneath them, there's no way they approve esports. So I don't know. I think you're giving a little bit more credit to Nace than they're due in that. But again, there's probably at some point where they did that, or they influenced some school into doing that. But I mean, when we look at the averages, that is the average. So I don't know how it's sold. I've never been involved in those conversations. I've seen some of the old like booklets they used to share, but I have not seen the new ones. I know they've done a lot of revamping. The board of directors like really forced that. It'd be a huge undertaking, and I don't think it's fair to require coaches or people to deep dive. Way you can do that, be efficient, is hire someone. Maybe. I think it's a possibility. I think it's worth talking about this idea of having a member of the subcommittee give updated results from other leagues for the coaches polls. I think what's important to realize when we talk about this stuff, like from a competition council standpoint, is like the more accurate and the more information we give, the more accurate our polls, and then in turn, the more respect those polls earn. And I think that's the key, that where we want to be is like, we want Nace coaches polls to be the best coaches polls out there. And to achieve that, I think the question is, how do we get all the necessary information in front of our pollsters? I think it's a good question. I think it's interesting because right now Nace is hiring another, I think, part-time competition person to work under JJ, and maybe that person could be tasked with that, or at least JJ could help do that, or we could appoint one of the pollsters in each to do this. I don't know. There's probably a variety of different ways we could do it. The subcommittee members could be the potential. It's not a bad idea. It's also going to be a question of like what information is important. So like that person who's gathering the scores from other leagues is going to have a lot of influence on the polls, because if they only include, let's say, ESEA and not any Face-It leagues, you could be losing out or missing out on a lot of important information. Saints Gaming Sean, what up, Sean? Sean's on our board of directors at Nace. In 1920, the old messaging was discontinued based on board feedback. AJ talks with new potential members. So AJ, Ashley Jones, she's our membership coordinator, talks with new potential members now and uses the Esports Foundry info. So shout out to Chris Postel and all the work he's doing on surveying all the programs around and getting some more accurate information to help new students or new schools understand the industry along with other similar resources. Yeah. Full-time position. Okay. Yeah, full-time. I don't remember exactly. If there was just one volunteer from the competition council per game to compile results in a standard format for each league. I think that's a good point. I'll bring that up at one of our future competition council meetings. We're opening up an application process for the spring for new coach poll pollsters to apply to be a part of it. DG Cash, I appreciate your insight. I also admire that, unlike many Nacers, you are willing to be open that Nace isn't and wasn't perfect. Dude, I'm an open book with most of that. Nace has definitely made mistakes. Nace has definitely pissed people off. I mean, there's some big programs in the space that'll never join Nace, or at least won't for a long term, because of things Nace has done in the past. I can't affect that. What I can do is show up to the competition council meetings every week and try to make it better. We couldn't get people to consistently submit their votes for polls. You hope they keep improving to naysayers like me can have their mind changed. You know, I hope so, but I mean, I think it's realistic to say that Nace has been ruined for a handful of people and there's no going back on that. Like, I mean, there's people who will have one bad experience. Like, I'm not discounting your experience, but I'm saying, like, there's people who have one bad experience at McDonald's and never eat at McDonald's again. Like, that's just some people's how they handle disappointment. So to think that we'll win over everybody at some point in Nace, I don't think is realistic, but we can try. If we're not making members happy, we're not getting membership dues, and if we're not getting membership dues, Nace can't pay the bills. So what's interesting about Nace is that the members have like all the power, like hands down. Yes, people like the NECC have a board of directors, but guess what? They have no power. They are a consulting board. So they consult and offer their advice, but the NECC can then turn around and do whatever the heck they want. Nace is member ran. The board of directors gets to make every decision. Like, Sean's in the chat. He gets to, like, whatever they vote on happens. Like, they have to approve all the financial stuff. Like, if they vote to add a position like they did, a position gets added. Like the person under JJ. Like, it's totally member ran. And we walked out of the competition council meeting 2 weeks ago, and the competition council made a decision to not move Overwatch in the spring to Thursday because NECC has their Overwatch on Thursday. And every member of the Nace national office was not happy. But we have the power, so we get to, we made the decision that we felt was best for our members, and that is what's going to happen. And the Nace national office doesn't get to overturn that. So, and that doesn't happen in any other league that I know of. And yes, they were mad. Like, they had good points. We had good points. But at the end of the day, the members get to decide that. And the members of the Comm Council were voted in by members. Same with the board of directors. But that type of power is only in Nace when we look at the members having that power. And I think that's just unique. And I really like that. Nace and the Competition Council would agree on which results from which leagues would be considered before the start of the year. That's a good point. That's a good point. I think I'll reach out to you, Riley, at some point, or you ping me, and let's keep talking about those coaches polls and what we could do to keep growing them. Chris needs to be full-time for DU first. That man, I agree. Do most members care about creating meaningful experiences for their students, or just how much revenue they can bring in via extra tuition? Because it feels like the second. So when I hear about that, my answer is I would say that most coaches and directors care about creating meaningful experiences. Most administrators, when we talk about most member schools, most administrators at those schools care much more about the revenue. And there's a disconnect there. And I know, like Clerky, who's a leader in the space, obviously, he likes, when he talks, he's talking about the administrators, but it can sound like he's talking about the coaches. I think there's a disconnect there, because at Aquinas, my administrators didn't care about much except the tuition dollars. Like, they didn't care if we won. They didn't care if we were practicing multiple times a week. But I, as a coach, did. I, as a coach, wanted to make meaningful experiences. And that's the difference. How many experiences and what that looks like is often strongly defined by what our administrators are willing to give. And that can hold a lot of coaches back. We have a lot of coaches in the space who are part-time, or it's their second job on campus and they're not getting paid. But those people are as passionate as the rest of us are. They just have less hours in the day to dedicate to esports. And I don't think I know one of them that is happy with being part-time or happy and content with being volunteers. It's just the fact of the politics on their campus. And the fact is, and I've seen this, is like, if they give the ultimatum of like, I need to be paid for this, or you need to go hire someone, like, there are administrators that I've seen just say, well, I guess you're just not going to do esports, and we're not going to have anyone doing esports. You look at Central Michigan and Kat, who was there, and that was her second thing. Like, she could not, like, it was her second thing. I don't know if she's getting paid part-time or if it was just like volunteer, but they ended up just not hiring someone to replace her when she left. Because that's just like the politics of the situation. They did try to hire someone, but no one would do that work for $40K or whatever it was. Other story. But I think it's important that we realize that most coaches want to do that, want to give meaningful experiences. There are many administrators outside of Nace that are just focused on revenue as well. That is very true. That is very true. Why do so many Nace schools have one staff member, often called the head esports coach, who is claiming they are capable of coaching 7 different games? You know darn well that is impossible. It is impossible. It is impossible, but the fact of the matter is, we're talking about school administrators who are not used to let's look at an athletic department. When I was at Aquinas, I was hired to be the coach for all the games. When I asked for an assistant director, they looked at me and they said, women's soccer has 50 students and they have one part-time head coach or one part-time assistant coach. And you're coming to me asking for a full-time assistant coach with 30 students. And that sale just was never going to happen. We just have to, like, it's not the coaches that are, or the directors that are making these decisions. It's the administrators. And I think most of us, I mean, there could be an argument to be made that some of these coaches, like myself and other people who've done it, like one man coaching 6 games, or one woman, whatever, like one person, that we did such a good job that we convinced these administrators you don't need to hire a second person. But it's just the reality of like the cost analysis of an esports program for a small school. And most of the small schools who added esports needed 30 students. Like, it's a tuition revenue question. And when you start talking about hiring other people, it's a cost. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anyone in their right minds in the space would say we only need one coach, or we should only have one coach, and that's the ideal scenario. Like, no one in the space is going to say that. But the fact of the matter is, we're talking about college administrators, we're talking about college budgets, we're talking about HR departments. It's just a lot more complicated. So added to your full-time job on campus, but I was just given full-time here at Esports. Congrats, man. Congrats. That's awesome. Congrats, Tyler. That's a huge, huge step and accomplishment. Also, I'm being extra critical here, so thank you. No, dude, I love the critical. Let's keep talking. Again, not a Nace issue. That's a college esports hit. So why is Nace selling that structure? They don't. That's a myth perpetuated by Nace haters. It's, from my understanding, it's not happening anymore. But I mean, people have showed me past documents from Nace that would showcase that a 30, 35, 40K salary was enough for staff members. I know Troy has sent that somewhere, but to my knowledge, that, and Sean's knowledge, according to the board, that is not being shared any further. So, yeah, I've literally been told by 3 schools that that is what Nace told them. This was about 6 months ago. That just shows how uneducated the admins are about esports, and it's hard to get them to understand. It is hard to get them to understand. I'm literally on the board, and we have 4 full-time staff members at our school, which is my point. The successful schools on Nace aren't even following their own structure. Like I said, I think at some point Nace was sharing some like sample budget that said like, this is how much you could expect, or how many students you could expect. This is how much you could expect to build a lab. This is how much you can expect to pay a staff member. But to my knowledge, that is not being shared anymore. And it's that conversation brought up to the board, I'm sure, was prompted by people like yourself and other people who are critical of Nace bringing that up. So, I mean, you guys are helping, like, even the Nace haters help Nace as much as much as others. So I'm going to keep allowing this. Appreciate it, Sean. Next time I speak with a school and they reference it, I'll kick it over. I love that you guys are working. I mean, I think it's easy to look at Nace as this like massive institution that's doesn't have people or faces behind it, but in reality it does. And there's a lot of people I respect in the space that are on the board of Nace, that are on the competition council with me, like Sean. Kevin Reap from Mizzou is on the board. You've got Colin is in chat from Davenport. He's on the competition council with me. And we see your guys' tweets, and like sometimes they're valid, other times they're not. And we take those, and those are conversations we have because we are a member driven organization, and whatever's important to our members and what's important to the space is what we're trying to accomplish. So, oh man, is that Adam Antor is seen on the Esports Awards? I'm not even entertaining you on that. Yeah, it is, but what up? What up? It's great to know these conversations are happening because that means we are moving forward. Super famous, whatever. Not super famous. Most people in esports don't know who I am, so we're working on it though. We're working on it. So I think it's just so fascinating to think like 3 years ago I was not doing any of this, and like if I can build Aquinas and then start like continuing to grow Florida Southern's program in 3 years. Like, what can everyone else accomplish? Like, I am the first to admit I am not special. I am not doing anything that's secret. I'm an open book to anyone who wants to ask me questions about whatever. I've shared sample budgets with multiple schools. I've done whatever. If I can do this, anyone can. Well, probably not anyone. That's a little dramatic, but all of you guys can. Most people don't know who I am. They don't. Trust. I was not invited to be on the board of directors of Voice, guys. All right. By the way, it's David. I used to work at Oregon. Oh, I could have guessed. I bet most of us could have guessed. But super fired up for our Collegiate Rising Stars in January. That sounds fun. Collegiate Rising Stars. What is that? I want to... Is that... What is this Collegiate Rising Stars? Tell me more. I've probably seen it. I just can't remember. Dude, there's so much going on. It's crazy. Do you know of any incoming esports programs? Oh, shoot. Well, we saw Maryland was hiring. Oregon was hiring. Arizona just announced their new director. And we'll start seeing those D1s getting into the space. Down here in Florida, we have like 4 to 6 new programs just this year. Who is Arizona's director? What's his name? I was just looking. University of Arizona Esports. He started the Florida State University Esports Club. And now his name is escaping me. He was at SCAD, Savannah College of Arts and Design, as their esports director. Oh, what is his name? Ian Escalante. Ian Escalante is the new Arizona director of esports. I've never met him. I'm really interested. He was the founder and president of the esports board at Florida State. He's the director of esports at Savannah College of Art and Design. And now he's the director of esports at Arizona. Excited to see what he does. I went through one of the interviews there and then pulled my name after Florida Southern offered me. Nothing public yet, 1 to 2 weeks, and I can talk about it in detail, but it's similar to last year's, but just for college students this time around. Oh yeah, you told me about this a little bit. Yeah. That sounds so cool. I'm so excited. I have a list of a couple streamers on campus that I'm going to be sending information to. Yeah. That would be really... I'm interested to see some details on that. Hopefully that wasn't too much of... I'm not allowed to talk about it. I don't know. But yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that, as should everyone. What other questions you guys got on Nace? Any other questions at this point? Spring titles, if they haven't been announced yet, they will be soon. We just approved a general schedule for the spring. Rule sets, competition council is looking over rules, fall rule sets, starting to make additions and changes for the spring, and then the final vote for that'll be in 2 weeks on the 7th. There's a couple holes in the rules and a couple things that we want to change to kind of close those. CSL and Nace partnership are being talked about. They're having meetings to see if it's going to be more than a year thing, but I don't have any further details. Is Michael Brooks' position an elected one? It's not elected, but the board of directors has full discretion as to if he still has a job. Like, he has a going forward, he'll have a contract every year that they have to renew with him. What is your favorite football team? I'm a Lions fan and a Michigan fan, but we're not talking about it. Trying to think of one as an event producer, but don't want to ask something outside of your department. That's fine. You can think of something. Anyone else have students asking for an OSU team? OSU team? I do not. I do not. Event producer. That's kind of cool. Oh, my dad is friends with Tim Boyle's dad. Rough week. Yeah. Yeah. Lions, I don't suggest being a Lions fan if one has the choice. Would be kind of my official statement there. But it's fine. You're a Bills fan. Yeah. At least you have good years. I don't know if you talked about this, but will there be collegiate Halo thing? So at this point, Halo's going to be along with other game titles kind of like in the potential, it's going to be on the end of season survey that it's going to go to all the coaches and directors to kind of gauge interest. Halo will be on that list to see. I mean, we don't want to put money into a title if there's not a significant number of members in schools supporting it. Halo is so much fun. My thing on Halo, and I talked about this last week, is like, let's give it a couple weeks, see if the hype is still there. I'm doubtful, but maybe I'm wrong. Producing a K-12 focused conference for fall 2022, but aiming down the road to include more collegiate stuff. That's interesting. That is very interesting. What entity are you with? Diane Tillian? I'm sure we know each other. I just am so bad with converting people I know to their Twitch. What is one thing you think Nace is doing super good and one thing you think Nace is not doing great at? I personally think their deal with CSL, although I was very skeptical, was a really good move. Because prior to this year, the admins for the day-to-day matches were members of the competition council and Michael Brooks. And we have other full-time jobs. And now CSL is providing the admins, and they're doing a lot more from a production standpoint than we ever did. I think that deal with CSL brought together... It merged big pieces of the industry in a good way, in my opinion, and it also relieved some resources. I think that was a really good move that it turned out I was pleasantly surprised by. And I think they're doing that pretty good. I think the other part is that they're hiring more people at the Nace central office, because up until like July, it was just Michael Brooks, and now they have 4 full-time staff members, and they're about to have a 5th. I think that stuff, I think they're doing good. One thing they're not doing great at, being adaptable, I think is something that we struggle with, because all these decisions have to come from the comp council or the board of directors, who only meet once a week. So some of our decision making is a lot slower than other entities, but that's because we have members who are making those decisions and not necessarily other people. I think that's one thing. I think it's interesting kind of being on the comp council. I'm privy to a little bit more than the public and other members, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes in Collegiate as a whole that most people aren't aware of. And like, I know I'm not even aware of most things happening, but just like from my position on the comp council is like, I hear about things happening that are really interesting. Some of them are exciting. Some of them are like, but that's a really interesting, from CSL and Nace, like from a revenue standpoint and like a sponsorship standpoint and viewers and participants, like it was an amazing year in my opinion. The question for long-term deals is going to come down to revenue split. And like, that's not even something like I have inside knowledge of, but like just from a person, I'm not even involved in those conversations, but like anyone can assume like that's going to be the question because, yeah, like it's always going to come down to money, hands down. Like anything with that type of a deal is going to come down to money. Who's paying what, who's getting what, etc. But yeah, I think Nace does a little slow on being adaptive. I think we're not doing a great job at marketing. We're doing better, but communication, marketing could be way better. And I think that just comes down to resources, but also like communicating with members could be better. I don't know. I think for any organization, I could come up with a long list of things people aren't doing well, but I don't know. 3 schools that you think are going to make a run to contest top programs in the country. So I saw recently that Alvernia, where Josh Buchanan is giving full rides for League of Legends. Whenever you see a school that's giving full rides, I turn my head. I'm interested to see who's kind of on that. Winthrop continues. Winthrop, I think, I haven't heard as much about them as I thought I would, especially outside of League of Legends. UST, Pelto, he's doing some really cool, or like he's been doing some good stuff, especially in League of Legends, but interested to see what else happens. I don't know. I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to kind of come up with 3 schools because they change so consistently. And for me, it seemed like the last 2 years when we talk about a new school kind of coming out of nowhere, like they do truly come out of nowhere. And like when Northwood first launched, like no one thought Northwood would be so dominant. And then all of a sudden they are. You look at Converse, no one knew anything. And they came out of nowhere. Bay State, like Winthrop, like all these schools, you didn't really see them coming. Or at least I didn't. I'm an unknown. Missouri Esports Conference is the name of the conference. Hey, yeah, we follow each other. Okay, but my year's events of experience are in running an anime con. Oh, that's cool. Aim of the conference is to make it accessible to both players and supportive. That's awesome. Good luck with that. Let us know. I'm sure Michael Jones at Drury and I'm sure Clerky would all be more than willing to help out wherever possible. Pleasantly surprised at the Nace CSL deal. Yeah, I was probably the most skeptical board member when we voted on it. I was equally skeptical. Well, I don't know. You said you tend to be really skeptical, but I was also very skeptical. I've heard the CS way above expectations, which is great. Been having fun learning about all sides of the D20 and is esports in its aspect. Yeah, Oklahoma with Moog going to do some big things. I met Moog for the first time this weekend. He's awesome. I think with the bigger schools, the problems they face are red tape and resources. So yes, we see a lot of these schools building like $1 million esports arenas, but most of those schools are only hiring 1 full-time person, maybe 2. And most of their focus is on student opportunities or opportunities for students who are already on campus. So it's more of a rec view. When we see a D1 venture full into competitive as well as doing their rec stuff, like that's when we're gonna all be in awe. Like you look at it, yeah, red tape. I still have Oregon PSD. Exactly. So Arizona, I think, was the most interesting job description I had seen up until that point when it came to D1 positions, because almost all of them prior to that were focused on making or creating opportunities for students already on campus. And it was very much rec focused and student life focused. Arizona's job description had that, but also had competitive. They had the word recruitment in there. Those things have not been in a job description for a D1 position, to my knowledge, until then. And that type of D1 that's willing to invest in the competitive side is what we should all be looking at. Not necessarily like afraid of, because I think that step, when that's taken, is when the rest of the industry is really going to start running forward. Yes, we've been growing substantially, but all of our growth has been at the smaller schools. As soon as those big D1s, WVU is another one. They, Josh Stager was at one of the campuses of WVU. They decided they wanted to go full in on the whole of the WVU system, and they hired Josh to take over. I saw it was on a list for a top Valorant talent. The WVU could be that school. It could be. One of the biggest areas of growth I see for Collegiate is the media realm and the lack of storylines. I think companies like eFuse can come in and really contribute to this, acting as the media giant that can create dialogue around some of these leagues and top teams. Right now, when you have so many different teams playing in so many it is difficult to paint these stories as well. I like CLOL adopting traditional conferences and feed off of traditional rivalries. I agree. I think content is definitely lacking in the space. I think, for me personally, I think that's a good point. But what's missing in that, and when we talk about growth and like true adoption in a lot of eyes, we're missing the big D1 schools. Like, no one is reading about the rivalry between Aquinas and Indiana Tech, or the Aquinas and Lords in Rocket League, or Lawrence Tech, you name it. Like, yes, someone can do a story or a spotlight on those two schools, but you're talking about maybe a couple hundred people reading that story. But when we talk about Michigan versus Ohio State, that's when we start talking like, okay, now we're starting to see some massive growth opportunity. Business model isn't there yet. Exactly. I think it's because it's the big names in college esports have to come in too first. Schools competing on a similar playing ground in terms of resources as well. Yeah, that's just hard. It's just hard right now. If I ever go back to college, I'm 100% finding a rival school and shooting WWC style promo trash talk videos with them. That would be awesome. WVU, what up, Josh? I hope we can be this program, Josh here. He's lurking. Josh, it's a potential. Anyone who's at a D1 right now has assuming that they have the support of their administration and some of the resources, has a chance to really make a splash. I need to make some spicy rivalries. Yeah, you do. You definitely do. I don't know who you make that rivalry with. You're probably looking at Michigan State if you're GV. But yeah. So we got about 6 more minutes here before I log off and let you guys get back to your work, because we all know y'all are working hard. Yeah, that's... I think that... Yes, the media and the stories, sure, but I think the question becomes like, I think in order to get to the mass market, we need the big state schools to be at the center of those stories. When the media rights flows in after D1 schools flood in, there would be more incentive. Oh, absolutely. We're already seeing schools like, or we're already seeing entities like, why can't I think of their name? What the heck? Not CSMG, not Playfly, although both are investing. What's the other licensing company? Learfield. IMG Learfield. Yeah, thank you. Learfield. You're seeing Learfield invest significant amount of money up front right now. At the very idea of these mass media broadcast rights in the future. They see it. I mean, you look at CSMG, they're seeing it. They're seeing the potential. They're investing in the ECAC and NECC, etc. You see Playfly, they're investing they own CSL now. I think most of those licensing companies, they either know that the broadcast is coming or they're willing to invest a substantial amount of money to bet on that happening in the future. Level next Madden. Sorry, I had to get my spam post in for the day. That's funny. That's 2 points for Aquinas College. You're well on your way to winning $5,000. Appreciate your time and insight. Absolutely. I love this. I love the opportunity for all of us to talk in real time instead of just going back and forth. It's good. The level next Madden makes me mad. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If anyone ever has any questions, wants to talk like personally with me, or wants advice, or wants to see whatever sample budget at a small school, my code of conduct I use with my students, just hit me up on Twitter. You guys know where I'm at. more than willing to share that stuff. I'm currently working through my updates for my code of conduct for the spring. I had to add in a couple sections related to media relations. That's a fun story for another day. But yeah, always willing to help out where possible, where needed. So is everyone else in the space. I've never asked someone for something or asked for advice and someone said no. So please don't hesitate to reach out. We're all learning too. Like there's some people who've reached out for advice and I'm like, dude, I can't help you with that. Like you're on the cutting edge along with all of us. Like you do it. Let us know how it goes. Cause that's just where we're at with Collegiate. I appreciate all the questions, the candor, the serious, like, I don't know, just everything today. This was a good conversation about Nace. I'm glad I got to talk about the Esports Awards. It was a fun time. And I'm really excited to see how Collegiate is continued to be supported by Esports Awards. I think it definitely deserves its place. And hopefully they continue doing that. I think that's going to be it for me. I really appreciate everyone stopping by. Thank you to everyone who threw in a sub or some biddies. You guys are truly awesome. Collegiate in Michigan 2022 going to be wild. Dude, seriously. Holy cow. With Immortals, James Bot, Moses. I mean, of course it's going to be crazy. I mean, Michigan esports right now is just at the point where it's like going to get awesome. And I'm missing out. But my goal is to get that going in Florida. Start that train and see where it goes. But I appreciate everyone stopping by. You guys keep doing you. Enjoy your Thanksgiving break. Get away from the screen if you need a break. Take a break from working if you need a break. If you like just gaming and you don't need a break from the screen, game hard. I know I'll be probably playing Rust, some League of Legends probably. I don't have any plans over Thanksgiving, so if anyone wants to game, let me know. Yeah, that's all I got. Keep doing you guys. You guys are awesome. Keep making lives better for our students, because I know you guys are, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Yeah, Rust, I'm gonna change our codes. Oh snap! No break, Rust. Yeah. All right. Everybody, you guys have a good week too. I'll talk to y'all later. Shout out again to my boy Andrew Lemon Vinavich, who did all my overlays. He's a student up at Aquinas. I did not ask him to do it for free. I paid him, like you guys should. If you get graphics done, students deserve to get paid too. I'll talk to y'all later.